Hey everybody, Chris from Xano here, and today I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of our Tenant Center feature. The Tenant Center is a super easy way for you to deploy your workspace to multiple isolated tenant environments. Think of a world where each of your customers for a SaaS application needs their own database, but the rest of the application is exactly the same. Or maybe you want to adopt a more traditional CI/CD workflow in Xano, and with that, you need separate development and stage environments. You can use the Tenant Center to help you facilitate that. You create your tenants inside of Xano, and each of those tenants is assigned a release. When you're ready to deploy new changes, you just push a new release to that tenant or to multiple tenants at once. I'm going to show you how it all works. So over here on the left-hand side, we're going to click Tenant Center. Let's go ahead and add our first tenant. I'm just going to call this Dev. You can give it a description. We definitely recommend using tags because those tags are what is going to be used when you want to bulk apply a release to multiple tenants. For my dev environment, though, I'm just going to leave it blank and we'll click Create. So once you have at least one tenant, you can deploy a release to that tenant. So up here, we'll click Releases. And we're going to create a new release, which is essentially just a snapshot of whatever is happening in your workspace at that moment. I'm going to call this First Release. And we only have one branch in our workspace, so we're just going to leave that as is for now. And we'll click Create. We'll click these three dots here and we'll choose Deploy Release. There's our first release that we just created. And then all we have to do is click Deploy to one tenant. So now this tenant has all of the changes that are in our V1 branch. Each of your tenants has their own base URL for all of their APIs, which you can get by clicking these three dots and choosing Details. So there is that base URL. From this same menu, you can also edit the environment variables for each tenant, which is super helpful if, let's say, a tenant needs to supply their own OpenAI key or Google Gemini key. You can review tenant backups from here. That includes creating and restoring manual backups. And you have access to audit logs for each tenant here as well. Last thing I want to show you in this menu is the impersonate feature. Impersonate allows you to actually enter that tenant environment in case you ever need to do any kind of troubleshooting or anything like that. So we'll just click impersonate. And now you can see at the top, it says we are currently impersonating this tenant, and we can browse around their database and all of their APIs. We only have read-only access by default. Let's go back to our workspace. I'm going to create a couple of additional tenants just to show you some other cool stuff that you can do with the Tenant Center. Okay, so now I have a few additional tenants created, and the one thing I want to point out here are the tags. So we have 4 new tenants. All of them have the customer tag, so these are just standard customer accounts, but one of them has the beta flag. So let's say, first off, we just want to deploy our current release to all of these customers. I'm going to go to my view here, and I'm going to select the customer tag. And now I can select all of these tenants at once. I can click Deploy Release right here and choose that first release and just click this Deploy button. And this will be deployed to all 4 of these tenants. So now all of our tenants have this first release, but what if we are building some new features? I'm going to create a new branch in my workspace, and I'm just going to make a simple change. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to add a new API endpoint. I'm going to call this Beta Feature. There we go. So now we have our new Beta Feature API. Let's go back to our Tenant Center. I'm going to create a new release, and I'm going to call this Second Release Beta. Make sure our source branch is the same, and then we'll click Create. So now we have a beta release, and we only want to deploy it to customers with the beta tag. Let's go back to our tags. We'll clear these, and then we'll check the beta tag and click Apply. And so now we only see our customers with the beta flag, and we can just as easily deploy a release to them. In this case, we'll do that second beta release. So now if we impersonate this tenant, let's go to their APIs, and we can see that beta feature API here. Let's go to customer 1. We'll go to their APIs. And we can see they do not have that new beta feature API. The last thing I want to mention very quickly is the hotfix option. So the hotfix option can be really crucial for deploying quick fixes outside of what you might have changed on the database side. Now, each tenant has their own database, which means the data is separate, but what if you're making changes to the schema? So we can go to the database here. Let's go to this company field, and I'm going to add a description field. I'm going to go back to my Tenant Center. I'm going to create a new release, I'm actually going to create two. I'm going to say with schema, and then I'm going to create a release called hotfix, and I'm going to check this box that says logic only, no database schema. So on customer one, I'm going to click these three dots. I'm going to go to deploy release, and I'm going to give them the with schema release. So now if we go to impersonate customer one, we should be able to go to their company table, and we can see that description field is right there. And now on my dev tenant, which still has that first original release, I'm going to deploy the hotfix release to them. So this means that this dev environment, if we impersonate it, we should see that new beta feature API, but we should not see that change to the database schema. So we can see that company table does not have that description field, but if we go to the APIs, we can see that beta feature API right here. So that's just a quick walkthrough of the Tenant Center feature in Xano. If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments below. You can also reach out to our support team by going to the lower left-hand corner inside of Xano or visiting the Xano community. Thanks so much for watching, and happy building.